Assalamu alaikum. So today I'm going to be talking about the change that is within you. So that's the theme for Being Me this year. My name is Nobera. I am a counselor and a life coach, and I work with stressed, unhappy, burnt out Muslim women who want to discover a way to achieve their goals by taking charge of their lives so they can build a life and relationships that they dream of. So I'm really excited about this topic. And if you know me, you'll know why, because I talk about this change that is that you can have within you. I always talk about it, when it comes to goals and things like that. So when I saw that this is the theme for Being Me, I got super excited. So let's dive right into this topic. Do you have a friend? I know sometimes we do have people like that in our lives where where they're a little flaky, that when they say that they want to do something with you, they want to get together or something, but then they leave you waiting. They tell you they're going to do something, but they don't really fulfill those promises, so they don't keep their words. And that happens again and again and again. And what happens when you have that friend who is flaky, who says that they're going to help, they are going to be around, but in the end, they don't end up showing up? So what happens? What do we do? What do we do with them? Like, do you have friends like that in your life, or do you have relatives or people like that in your life? And a lot of the times we tend to do that also to ourselves. Like, how many times have you decided to stop doing whatever you're doing, something important, and go watch Netflix instead? Right? How many times have you given up something even before you got started, that you think that you're going to do it next week, you're going to do it tomorrow, you're going to do it next month, next year, and that tomorrow never comes? So how do you, if you say that you want to do something tomorrow or the next day, how do you even get started? Like, what do you have to do? What does that even mean? And, I was talking to a client of mine, and she said that she wanted to get healthy. She was so tired of being tired and so tired of not having, energy and not, being happy with her life. And she wanted to get healthy, but it always was, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to start tomorrow. And so if you want to start tomorrow, what is it that you want to do? Do you even know? Does that mean doing groceries? Does that mean that making a list of groceries? Does that mean that you have to declutter your cabinets to take out all the things that are not healthy? Are you going to go for a tour at the gym? Are you going to look up a health page? What does that even mean if you say that you're going to get started tomorrow? If you say that, okay, I'm going to stop doing this, I promised to myself, I'm going to change myself. And then what? And this is where people get stuck, right? That you make a little bit of progress, and then maybe you start having self-doubt, and then you stop. And maybe you say that, like, that you start to find excuses, that you have kids who are young, and or maybe this thing is not meant for you, or maybe you start even blaming, people start blaming other people for what's not working in your life. So what happens when you break promises to yourself? I did this poll once on my page where I asked, is it easier for you to keep promises to others, or is it easier for you to keep promises to yourself? And I think it was like 80% of the people who said that it's easier for them to keep promises to others, but not to themselves. It's so easy for us to say no to ourselves and say yes to other people. So now, when you break promises to yourself, you send a really powerful message. You say that you are not important. That's the message that you're giving to yourself, that you are not important. And this affects you. This affects your self-esteem, your self-confidence. This affects how much progress you make in your life, So the good news is, when you start keeping promises to yourself, it makes a huge difference in the way you see yourself. That when you say that you want to do something, you want to try something out, you're actually going to go ahead and do it, because this time you actually trust yourself, right? You're able to become more productive. You're able to become happier once you start keeping promises to yourself. And by being accountable to yourself, it means that you keep getting closer and closer to all of your commitments, and you get closer and closer to building your self-esteem and having faith in yourself. So here are 3 steps, 3 things that you can do to keep promises to yourself. Number 1 is being clear about what you want. If you say that, you know what, forget this, I'm going to start my own business, okay? What does that even mean? Are you thinking about, what you would do when you have a lot of sales, when you have so much going on that you're going to be maybe, neglecting your family and kids? This is like so extreme, but I'm saying this because there are a lot of people who start thinking and planning about little things, about the first steps, and then you start thinking about, and then I'm going to do this, and then this is going to be so big, and then this is going to be the problem, and then how do I manage this? It just becomes so overwhelming. So if you think that you're going to start a business, so are you thinking about, okay, so how am I going to manage everything, and how am I going to budget everything? Can I afford this, whatnot? But the first question is, did you make that sale? Did you make that first sale yet? Did you do that? So first, knowing and being clear about what is it that you want to do anyway. What's the promise that you're making anyway? If you're making a promise to yourself saying that I'm going to be more practicing this year, what does that mean? Does it mean you're going to recite more Quran? Does it mean you're going to speak the truth? You're not going to lie? Does it mean you're going to be kind to people? What does that even mean? So having that clarity first is very important. And if you are confused, spend some time with your thoughts to see, what do you want? Talk to mentors, get advice from people, get advice from loved ones, not just, random people who have opinions about everything. Talk to people who have opinions that matter. And then find out how can you do something? How can you take this first step? Okay. If you are confused, you are going to be wishy-washy. If you are confused, you're going to take one step and you're going to take another step back, and you're not really going to be sure about what you want, where your life is going. The second way that you can start building this trust and keeping promises to yourself and bringing changes in your life is actually treating yourself like you would treat a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment. When there's a very important appointment, what do? You put it on a calendar, you put the time, and you maybe even add the address wherever you're going, and you make sure if there are things that you have to do to manage your kids, your time, your work, you got to talk to certain people. You got to communicate to them that you have an appointment and you need to go there. That's the same thing that you need to do when it comes to your promises to yourself. So how do you do the same thing for yourself? If, let's say, you want to spend time alone, you want to connect with yourself, you want to sort out your thoughts, right? You want to write down your plans, what do? You schedule it. That's the first thing that you do. You take out your calendar, either on your phone or on your wall, and you schedule it. If, let's say, you want to set an hour for yourself, you set that hour for yourself. And then you speak to the right people. So you speak to people if they have to take care of the kids, or you want to go somewhere, whatever it is, you got to communicate that and set that time, and maybe go to the library and do it. If that's something that you can't do at home, you go to the library and do it, right? So if you wait for your kids to finally be quiet and give you that space, it's never going to work. They're not going to just come and be like, okay, mama, go ahead, work on this, and we're going to close the door and we're going to be okay. We're going to feed ourselves. That rarely happens, right? So this is something you have to do. You have to manage the time and the people around you to make sure that you actually take steps that would help you keep promises to yourself. The third step, the third way that you can keep promises to yourself is, if you say something like, let's say, that you want to take better care of yourself. Do you actually believe it? That's the third step, is believing that you're actually going to do it, that you're actually going to keep this promise, that you're actually going to do it. And it's like such a simple and such a simple point, But what happens here is that a lot of the times we start to sacrifice ourselves first, and then we start paying attention to everyone else, right? This is a normal thing that we do. That the first person to say no to is yourself. But what I want you to do here is to start saying no to others so you can start saying yes to yourself. Every time you say yes to everyone else, you are saying no to yourself. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about neglecting your family members, neglecting your responsibilities, and only thinking about yourself. Absolutely not. And I'm talking to the people who have a difficulty in keeping their own promises, right? So I'm talking to the people who are already taking care of everyone else, who are already doing things for everyone else and their community and the family and friends and neighbors. You're already doing that. So it's time. You need to start saying no to some places so you can start saying yes to yourself. And do you even believe that this is actually going to happen? You start to trust yourself when you know that when you say something, when you take mental notes, when you have these plans, you know that you're actually going to do it, right? So this way you're adding you're depositing points to yourself every time you trust you, every time you keep your own promises, every time you make a commitment and you actually do it, you're actually adding these points. And every time you say that you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're taking a point out. It's either going up or it's going down. It's never going to be stagnant. So it's up to you now. It's up to you now to actually decide that, okay, I said I'm going to go for a walk. I really don't feel like it. It's raining, but man, you got to go for that walk. If it means that you're going to go for a walk for 2 minutes or 5 minutes instead of half an hour, go do that. But make sure you go for that walk. And, something like a reminder to all the sisters is that just because something doesn't work out, or let's say it's a slow process, or some doors have closed, doesn't mean that you have to quit. It's hard. It's hard when you're trying to do something, but it's just not happening. And we start to feel like, okay, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe this is not supposed to be like that. But who are we to decide that, right? Who are you to decide that, maybe this is not meant to be? It's time to quit. Like, did you even try and keep trying and pushing for months and years, right? And if you feel like, things are being difficult for you, then you take a break. Okay. If you need to cry, you cry. If you need to plan and make another plan, if you need to have a different route, if you need to ask for help, you do that. But don't stop. Don't let this, obstacle stop you, right? You can ask for help. You can, take classes. You can learn, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop, right? Walaikum assalam. And what happens is that when we stop and we quit, months and years go by, and then we see that other people have achieved their dreams because they didn't stop fighting for it. And you see yourself behind. I don't believe that. I don't believe in that, really, that being behind. But I talk to a lot of women. I talk to a lot of mothers who feel like, life is just passing by and you're still where you are. So really, when it comes to your own personal goals, your own dreams, you don't have to give it up. You can take it slow. You can ask for help. And even if it's taking too long, between where you start and the end goal, there are, let's say if there are 10 steps. And if it's really slow and if it's really difficult for you, at least you're not alive. Maybe you need to keep working harder and pushing harder and persevering until you get to a 7, and then maybe an 8, and then eventually a 10. So don't give up in between, because you're still closer to where you were before you got started, right? So I would just like to, finally, say this again, repeat this message again, that if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't trust in yourself, then that is going to affect your self-esteem, your self-confidence, the way you look at yourself. And do you feel that, a lot of the times that you start and quit so much, and that's what your kids are seeing. That's what the people around you, they see, and they know that, okay, this is probably a phase. She's going to get over this soon anyway. Right? Like, do you have that? Do you have people who say things like that? It's not nice to hear that, but there is a level of truth in it. So learning to keep promises to yourself, it will help boost your self-confidence, and you will be more productive and you will be happier by doing this. And learning to be accountable means that you start to trust yourself. You have to be accountable to yourself. And if you can't do it by yourself, you join an accountability group. You can join a class, work with people, tell someone that, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. Can you please hold me accountable? I need some support in this. Can you please do this for me? And once you do that consistently on a regular basis, you will know that when you say that, you know what, I'm going to take better care of myself, you know exactly what that means. You know what steps you're going to take to do this. You know everything that you need to do to get there. And you also know that you are not the type of person to quit, that you're not just going to give up. Just because it's hard, you're not going to give up. You know that. And can you imagine having that certainty in yourself? Because Allah is giving you resources, tools. Allah is showing you the way. Allah is helping you out. It's for you to take that help and to take these resources and to build that trust within yourself that you are able to do this with Allah's help, inshallah. And just before I leave, I want to add one thing, that don't mind read Allah. A lot of the times what we do is that, when something is difficult, we're like, you know what? Allah doesn't want this for me, or Allah's testing me. You don't know what Allah wants. You don't know if this is a test. That's up to Him. You don't decide that Allah doesn't want this for me. You keep pushing. You keep making dua. You keep trying. And then in the end, you will either get there or you will get to somewhere better, something that is planned for you, right? All right. Jazakallah khair for joining. Again, my name is Nobera, and I am so excited for being me this year, inshallah. So it's going to be happening this Saturday. So that's this Saturday, the 23rd. And I'm going to be there, inshallah. And if I bump into you, please come say salam. And hoping to see you there. All right. Take care, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.